So throughout this podcast series, the whole thing kind of started with us trying to tackle the epidemic that is sexual violence, especially on college campuses. And we were initially tasked with trying to find a quote-unquote solution to it. And B and I, we kind of decided that awareness is the biggest key, right?
Yes.
And that raising education, awareness, that's a very proactive way to stop sexual violence and destroying those myths, breaking those stigmas.
Absolutely.
But something else that B kind of mentioned last episode a little bit, something that you brought up, is a lot of people don't even realize they've been victimized.
Yes.
And so throughout this podcast series, it not only is uncomfortable because people are having to have those uncomfortable conversations, but there can be a number of people out there who are finding out for the first time that they're victims, or maybe just they know that they're victims or they're survivors, but this podcast series has triggered them, has really brought up what they've experienced before. And so we kind of wanted to dedicate this last episode to really raising awareness further about campus resources and community resources, just in general, in case listeners feel like they need to go somewhere, or if they don't know where to go, then where they can.
Or if they know somebody that's experienced this, you can direct them somewhere, because a lot of times you might just have a friend that comes up to you with this situation, with this problem, and that way you can direct them somewhere. You don't just have to sit there and listen and just say, oh, that sucks, I'm sorry. You have a response, and you can actually get them help.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Like Chanel Miller, there was a huge movement when she first came out about #BeTheSwede,
Yes.
because there were two Swedish men on bicycles that basically saved her from being further assaulted. And so even if you do have a friend that you know who is in a bad situation or who experienced something bad, then we can also be the Swede.
Yep.
We can try and help everyone in those types of situations.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we want to kind of start off with naming campus resources for sexual assault survivors here at Weber State. Even if you don't go to Weber State, just know that whatever college you're at, they probably have a list of resources that you can look up. Super easy, just Google. And that way you can get yourself some help, or if you know of somebody, you can give them some resources.
Mm-hmm.
So just because we're going to focus on Weber State, don't feel discouraged to do some research on your own, because that's really important.
Yeah, these resources probably are also at other campuses
Yes,
as well.
Absolutely. So starting off, we really want to encourage Weber State students to go to Weber State Police here on campus. And if you're reporting an emergency, an immediate emergency, call 911, of course. But, after an event has occurred, if you want to report that after the fact and you're not in any danger, when you're safe, you can go ahead and report that to 801-626-6460. That's Weber State Police Department here at Weber's phone number. So you can give them a call and they can give you a lot of help.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And another really helpful resource here on campus is the Women's Center, which isn't just for women. If you are in this kind of situation, no matter what your identity is, you can go to the Women's Center. And they offer advocacy services, and they also offer safety resources. And they do have an in-person room, an office here on campus, in the Ogden campus, in the Shepherd Union, room 323. And in case you just want to contact them, you don't want to go in person, you can contact them at 801-626-6090. Or you can also send them an email at womenscenter@weber.edu.
You can also find resources at the Weber State Counseling Center, and they provide counseling services to Weber State students and staff, and they're located here in the Ogden campus in Suite 280. It says Student Services Center right outside, and you can go into Suite 280 and get some help there. You can contact them by calling 801-626-6406, and you can make an appointment with them. That way you can have a private appointment with a counselor. They also have a 24-hour crisis line. You text that crisis line, which is kind of cool, and you do that to 741-741. You can just text them. And they also have the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline that they really advertise, and that can be reached if you dial 1-800-273-TALK. You can get some help there. They also offer a lot of free online services. You can just go online and look up therapy assistance online, and usually a lot of resources will pop up where a counselor will take the time to talk to you and kind of guide you through getting some help. And you can also go to Together All online, and that's an anonymous peer-to-peer support group. So that's really cool.
And a really cool thing about the counseling center is we pay for a certain number of appointments with our tuition. And so you don't have to worry about how you're going to afford these counseling sessions. I think it's the number is 12 or something like that.
Around that.
That we get free appointments, 12 right off the bat.
And I know after your appointments are over, they can refer you to different resources and different offices. And I know there's vouchers out there for people that can't afford appointments, and they really have a lot of resources. So don't be afraid to contact them, because they could be a lot of help, honestly. So
definitely. And Weber also has Safe at Weber, which has access to policies, reporting, safety, and emergency resources. You could really just go to weber.edu and search Safe at Weber, and you'll find all the things there.
You can also visit the Affirmative Action and Equal Opportunity Office here at Weber. They have several reporting services for any type of discrimination, harassment, sexual misconduct, and they're located here at the Ogden campus at the Miller Administration Building Room 102. So they're a great resource as well, and you can contact them if you dial 801-626-7537 or 801-626-6240. Or you can send them an email at aa-eo@weber.edu.
And this is going to be the office that covers the Title IX reports, the title that covers sexual misconduct and harassment on college campuses. And then there's also the student conduct policy that you can reference, which really covers student behavioral issues. And if you or another individual finds someone who is breaking these policies through, sexual misconduct or harassment, then you can contact 801-626-7256 or email jhurst@weber.edu to report them.
And just keep in mind, if you contact any of these offices here on campus, they're able to refer you to a bunch of resources and like other of the offices that we mentioned. So don't feel like you have to go to every single one, as long as you go to one, because I know that can be really overwhelming. As long as you feel comfortable going to one of those, they can refer you to a different office if need be, and they have a lot of resources for anybody that needs help. So next, we kind of want to outline community resources for sexual assault survivors here in the area, so in the Ogden area. And we want to start off with the Planned Parenthood office. You can contact their number at 801-479-7721. They have a location here in Ogden, located at 4387 Harrison Boulevard, Suite D8. And they can really help survivors with abortion referrals, birth control, HIV services, They also provide men's health care, which is really cool, and I feel like a lot of people don't know that. And they provide pregnancy test services, STD testing, treatment, and vaccines, and obviously women's health care. And I mean, you don't have to be a sexual assault survivor to go get resources there, but it's an awesome resource for the community. If you think you've been sexually assaulted, you can definitely go to them and they will refer you instantly to where you need to go, and they can help with that. And as I said, you don't have to be a woman to go to Planned Parenthood. They offer men's health care as well, so don't be afraid to just walk in there.
And another thing that Planned Parenthood does really, really well is they try their best to charge you as little as possible. They take a lot of donations because they know that the people that come in could be college students or teenagers that don't have access to a lot of money. And so rarely do you really need anyone's permission to go. Rarely do you need a bunch of money to go or insurance to go. So that's really important to also kind of keep in mind.
Absolutely.
And then there's also the Ogden Police Department, the OPD, and you can contact them. Their emergency line is of course 911, but if it's a non-emergency number, then you can call 801-395-8221. And in case you're curious as to where they're located, if you want to visit their office, then it's located 2186 Lincoln Avenue in Ogden. And they cover just overall public safety, public services, emergency response, and of course, investigation services.
You can also visit the YCC Family Crisis Center, also here in Ogden. They can be contacted if you call 801-394-9456, and they are located at 2261 Adams Avenue. They have a great resource, which is the crisis shelter. So if you feel like you're in imminent danger and you need somewhere to go, definitely go to their location or even give them a call, and they will be able to help you with that. They also have a crisis line. If you want to contact the crisis line, that number is 801-392-7274. And overall, they do case management, and they provide victim advocates if you need one, which is an awesome resource that could be of a lot of help. And they just have support groups and classes. So even if you're not going through the situation imminently, you know, if it's happened to you in the past and you feel like you just need support, you can go to those support groups and classes and, you know, learn a little bit about that, get the help that you need there.
Definitely. And another really helpful resource in the area is Safe Harbor in Farmington. And you can call them at 801-444-9161. And they're located at 280 West Union Ave. And Safe Harbor also offers advocacy services. And they also have their sexual assault crisis line that you can call, and a domestic violence crisis line. And they also offer help with case management and as well as support groups. And so if you're just kind of feeling lost, whether you've gone through this or are currently going through this, then Safe Harbor has a lot of resources to help you.
And there's always the Utah Coalition Against Sexual Assault organization. They are actually located in Salt Lake City. Their office is at 284 West, 400 North, and they provide advocacy and therapy training, which is really cool. So if you feel like you want to receive that training so you can help out your community, you can contact them. They have a lending library, and they have certain coordinated community responses, and you can contact them to learn more about all of this at 801-746-0404.
And it's fantastic too with the Utah Coalition Against Sexual Assault is they also have the Start Believing Utah program, which really raises awareness about believing victims and switching our criminal justice system's talking points kind of on its head. Rather than innocent until proven guilty, they are really helping the community and Utah as a whole believe victims first.
Absolutely. And that's really important. Because as we've mentioned before, the biggest thing that we can do as a society to help with this sexual crime pandemic that we're going through is just raising awareness and changing the narrative and really talking about these taboo topics.
Definitely. All we can really do is talking about cases that have happened, raising awareness on them, shining spotlights on them, talking about victim blaming and how harmful that is, and then really raising awareness and educating people on the neurobiology of trauma and how no victim or survivor is really alike one another. I mean, we all share certain baselines, but there is no right way, no one way to be a victim or a survivor.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, it can happen to anybody. So just keep that in mind. And if you're not from the Ogden area, you can always Google resources for where you're living at. I think that's important to mention.
Definitely. There are Planned Parenthoods in other areas. There's police departments that you can go to in other areas.
And as I said, if you contact one office, they usually are really great about referring you to somewhere else if you need to. So even if you don't know where to go, like maybe pick one, go ask for some help, and they'll direct you to the right center that you need to go to. So
definitely. It's all about just really reaching out for the help. So we really hope that this podcast series, whether you've been watching or listening, has been helpful. And we really hope that we've helped listeners question their beliefs, break their stigmas, no matter if they're here at Weber State or if they're at another college or they're just out in the world somewhere. We really hope that this resource is helpful. And we would just like to thank you for your time and thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to us.
Absolutely. And I also want to just encourage everybody to do their own research on their own time. This was a great resource to kind of get the ball rolling and get the conversation started, but there are many, many more myths out there about sexual violence, and there's, it's a topic that we can't cover in a couple of episodes fully. So I want to encourage everybody to read Chanel Miller's book, to look for other books out there about this topic, because that can really help with that raising awareness and talking about it. So, as Kate said, thank you very much for listening. If this story sounds familiar to you, meaning you or someone you know has experienced sexual violence, please reach out to Utah's 24/7 Sexual Violence Crisis Line at 1-888-421-1100. For help at Weber State, reach out to Safe at Weber Advocates by visiting to Shepherd Union, room 322, email safeatweber@weber.edu, or call 801-626-6090. Information is also available at weber.edu/safeatweber.